It is now my honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Mr. Bob Rogers, who served on the Board of Trustees of Robert Morris University from 2000 to 2012, at which time he became Trustee Emeritus. For many years while on the board, Bob was a highly effective chair of the Academic Affairs and Enrollment Management Committee. As for his job, in which he actually gets paid to do, Bob is president and the leader of day-to-day operations for the human resources consulting firm of Development Dimensions International, DDI, since 1990. Bob Rogers has directed its growth and expansion from a $40 million Pittsburgh company to a $165 million global organization with 1,200 employees operating in 26 countries. Bob has led the transformation of DDI from a company guided by products and sales to one driven by the market and customers. The firm was awarded the best place to work in Pittsburgh by the Post-Gazette in 2011. DDI was also named one of the top 10 best mid-sized companies to work for in the U.S. by Great Place to Work from 2009 to 2012. He has worked with many Fortune 500 and government clients and is a recognized expert in assessment, leadership, organizational change, and performance management, and he has written 3 books along with numerous articles, monographs, and book chapters on these topics. He earned his bachelor's degree in meteorology from Penn State University, bachelor's degree in education from Towson State University, and a master's degree in education from Troy University. Besides his work on Robert Morris University Board of Trustees, Bob is also a trustee of the Narrowgate Foundation in Nashville. He lives in Bridgeville with his wife, Jan. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Bob Rogers, Emeritus Trustee.
Well, I'm thrilled and honored to have this privilege to talk to you today, because when I joined the board 13 years ago now, I never suspected that in 13 years I'd be here. It truly is my honor and my privilege. Robert Morris used to be a college when I joined the board, and now it's a major university, and I'm proud to say one of the great universities. Now, I've been told that students don't remember anything the commencement speaker says, but I'm going to try to say something that's meaningful to you. I want to talk about success, but I don't want to talk just about success. I want to talk about success and happiness, because I've seen too many people in my career who are very successful who wind up very unhappy. And I think you can have both. Now, I'm not going to talk much about myself. I don't like doing that in my success. But I'll give you the abridged version. There are 2 keys to my success. The first one happened in the 9th grade, when I asked this beautiful 8th grader named Jan to go to my 9th grade prom with me. And she said yes. And a few days later, I asked her to go steady. That's what you did back in the early 60s. You went steady. So I asked her to go steady, and she said yes. And 6 years after that, we went steady for 6 years. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And that was 47 years ago. That was 10 different states ago. That was 17 different houses ago, including 2 trailer parks. She gave up her career, raised 3 wonderful kids, and was always there for me, encouraging me, reinforcing me, and one other thing that was very important, and that was keeping me humble. Never let my ego get too big. She always used to remind me, don't let the ego get too big, Bob, because I remember you when you were 15 years old, and we went to that 9th grade prom, and you danced more on my feet than you did on your feet. I'll come back to humbleness in part of my main points. The second key to my success happened when I was 30 years old. I was assigned to investigate this new concept that was coming into American industry called assessment centers. It was being driven by a fellow from Pittsburgh named Dr. Bill Byam. And what assessment centers are is using actual work-life simulations for professionals to see how good they can do in a range of competencies. Competencies that are like judgment, analysis, innovation, global acumen, business acumen. We actually put you in real-life situations where you get to try out a particular job for development or for promotion or for selection. And Bill was the first person really in the United States to commercialize this and start his small company here in DDI. And I was assigned, I was in the military, assigned to investigate this, see if we could use it. I was teaching leadership at a school. I did, and I fell in love with the concept because I was already doing development, and now this was the diagnostic part that went together. It was a perfect fit. So I pestered Bill to give me a job. Got out of the military, came to work for DDI. A very effective entrepreneur, very motivating guy who took a liking to me for some reason. Still can't figure that out, but he did. And we grew the company. So there I was. I had this motivating entrepreneur out in front of me, and I had the best partner you can have in your life next to me. And I just couldn't fail. And that's all I'm going to say about my success. Those are the two keys, most important aspects of my life, I think, that helped with my success. I want to talk about your success. But I want to define success differently. I used to think the kid that grew up and had the most toys was the most successful. But I've learned that's not true. I want to define success differently before I talk about it. I think success is the person who has touched the most lives for the good of others. I think that's what success is. And I think you can do that in any job you have. For-profit, non-for-profit, government, public, private, whatever. I want to define success that way. Who leaves a legacy of really helping other people? And that includes being a stay-at-home mom or dad, which I think is very important. You can do it from that position just as well. But I want to talk about success in combination with happiness, because when you get to my age, you look back and you say, did I have an impact, and am I happy? And I think you can have both. And what I'm going to do is cover 5 things. This is the part I hope you remember. 5 epiphanies that happened in my life that hit me that I think can help you, if you remember some of these, to be successful and happy. All right, let's start with the first one. Epiphany number 1, follow your passion. Now, you would say, Bob, I'm graduating from college. My major is my passion. And yet I read an article that 50% of you will take a job that has nothing to do with your major. And you heard I had a degree in meteorology. I try to forget that. It just happened. I don't know why. But it may be your major, it may not. I told you about my passion. It hit me when I was 30. I found this concept. I said, that's what I want to do the rest of my life. So how do you find yours? It may be that you've already found it. But for a lot of you, I guess you haven't. So what do you read? You're going to have some free time now since you don't have to study for exams. What do you read? What do you search on the internet? Intellectually, what do you talk to your friends about? What really gets the juices flowing relative to the work that you do? That's what you need to find. And that's what you need to make your occupation, not your avocation. Let me give you an example of a group that I think has done that. They're right here in this room, and they are the faculty at Robert Morris University. In my role as chairman of the Academic Affairs Committee, I've got to know a lot of the faculty. I've got to study their backgrounds, their resume, their accomplishments. And every single one I interviewed had passion for teaching and learning and helping you get through Robert Morris University. And I think they're a classic example of a group of people that follow their passion, and I bet they're pretty satisfied with what they did in their career. So epiphany number 1, follow your passion. Find it and follow it. Epiphany number 2 is be inquisitive. Now there's 2 parts to this. First, whatever organization you join, doesn't matter, whatever organization you join, be inquisitive about how the organization works and how it adds value either to their customers or to their constituents. Now, if it's a for-profit company, yeah, you have to figure out how the company makes money and try to help that. But where I want you to concentrate is on what value does that company bring to people, to customers, to the community. And then I want you to be inquisitive about how you can help them do that better. Help your company add value to whoever they're trying to help. What will that do for you? I think you'll be far more successful. Be positive. Be an articulate advocate of what your organization does. And I think you'll be more successful, and I think you'll be happier. The second part of being inquisitive is be inquisitive about yourself. Now, in DDI, we assess people, the assessment center that I talked about. We've assessed over 10 million people, professionals, just like yourselves, coming out of college, a couple of years in, looking for a promotion. Guess how many of those 10 million people scored a perfect score on our assessments? That's probably 10 or 15 competencies. We use a 5-point rating scale. None. 0. What's that tell us? That tells us nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. So be inquisitive about where you're strong and try to maximize those strengths. But also realize that nobody's perfect. We all have areas where we're not as strong. Identify what those are and be a continuous learner and try to develop in those areas. Be receptive to feedback. In fact, solicit feedback. Back to being humble. Some of the most successful people I've ever run into have a high level of humility. They also have a high level of intellectual curiosity, and that's what I mean by inquisitiveness. But I gave you 2 specific things to be inquisitive about. Okay? Follow your passion, be inquisitive. Epiphany number 3 is very simple. Be interested, not interesting. Got the difference? Be interested, not interesting. So I'm going from working for a company and now into the interpersonal arena. What that means is ask questions. Be inquisitive about other people. What are their passions? What turns them on about work? Ask questions. But don't be a one-upper. Some of us have some friends, we ask a question, we tell a story, and they top it with a story of their own. They're one-uppers. Don't do that. When someone tells you about something, follow it, be interested, listen, and ask a question. Show interest. The best way to have friends is to be a friend. And how you be a friend is be interested, not interesting. Our research, along with research of some of the other firms like us, for many, many years have shown this fact. Most professionals are 65% tellers and 35% seekers. We then looked at success in our research, and guess what happened? Flipped. Most successful professionals are 65% seekers and 35% tellers. So learn to ask questions. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We're supposed to be listening twice as much as we're talking. And if we're talking, we can't learn anything. So be interested, not interesting. Now, there's a side benefit to this outside of work. And that may be very important to you all at your age. And that is, if you're more interested than interesting, you'll get more first dates. Even better yet, you'll get more second dates. And I think I'll stop right there. Be interested, not interesting. So, if we follow our passion, if we are inquisitive, if we are interested, not interesting, we have a far better chance, all of our researchers, we have a far better chance of being successful and happy. But sometimes there's some potholes on this journey of life. And if you're going to spend your career in Pittsburgh, there's probably going to be a few more potholes on that journey of life. So epiphany number 4 is know what your coping mechanism for stress is and get it on your schedule. Know what your coping mechanism for stress is. Now, what's a coping mechanism? Well, it'll vary by person. For some of you, it may be a good book in front of a fresh fireplace. For others, it may be taking in some rays on the beach. For others, it may be your volunteer work at your church. For others, it may be spending time with your kids or having a quiet night out with your significant other. For me, it was always aerobic exercise. I'm a little bit of a worrywart on the inside, and I had to get the energy out when I was facing stress, so I had to get my heart pumping for 30 minutes a day in the gym or around a track. But for you, it could be something entirely different. Now, we had a consultant in our London office do a study, And what she studied was people that worked very, very hard and were unhappy, and compared them to people that worked very, very hard and were happy. They found one thing different. The people that worked very, very hard and were happy knew what their coping mechanism was and had it pretty high on the priority list, so they'd get to it a few times a week. And when they faced stress or those potholes in the road, they would always go back to that coping mechanism. So, do you know what it is? And if you do, get it on your schedule. Epiphany number 4. Epiphany number 5. Better to give than to take. Better to give than to take. Now, there's lots of research that shows this increases your happiness. I think it increases your success too. But you may say, well, I'm just graduated from college. I don't have a whole lot to give. Well, it doesn't have to be money. It could be your time. It could be resources. And I think President Alumni already beat me to the punch about donating back to the Alumni Association. The member of the board's head of the Alumni Association also asked me to say that. So we've hit you twice on that one. But give of your time, give of your effort and your talents, and give it to an organization that makes a difference. Give it to an organization that changes lives, like Robert Morris University. I love that tagline. You know, give it to some organization that's helping others. You'll find that there's immense satisfaction in doing that. So better to give than take. Now, my mentor over there taught me never to close a speech without a call to action. So I have a call of action for you, each one of the students here that is graduating. I want you to think of the person or persons who are probably in this audience who helped you the most get through Robert Morris University. Could be mom or dad that worked an extra job to help finance it. It could be mom that took the call when you called when you were a freshman and said, I'm really lonely here. I wish I was home. It could be a roommate that helped you with some tough courses. It could be a faculty member that turned you on to a particular discipline that you're now going to pursue as a career. Doesn't matter to me who that is. But all the students here, can you think of at least one person that fits into what I just said, that helped you? Let me see the hands of the students that can think of at least one. Great. Okay. It could be 2 if you want. But here's what I want you to do. Today is probably the proudest day of your life. It will be eclipsed by the day you get married and the day you have children. But today might be the proudest day of your life. It's a day you're going to get all the accolades. And that's perfectly fine. But on this day, I would ask you to give to somebody else. And that's the person you just thought of. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to thank them for what they did to help you to get through Robert Morris University. But I don't just want you to go up and say thanks. I want you to tell them what the situation was, what they did, and the impact it had on you. Got that? What was the situation? So it was when you called mom and said, I'm really lonely here. And mom said, you know, remember the first day you went away to camp? It's just like that. You'll make friends, get busy. I'm always here for you. I'll answer the phone anytime you want to call. Whatever moms are good at doing that more than dads are. So maybe but give them the situation, what they did, and the impact it had on you. Okay? Can everybody do that? Let me see the hands of those students that can do that. Sure you can. Why do it? Because on your day, you will be giving back to somebody else. And I want you to think about how you feel when you're doing that. You will be enhancing their self-esteem. Enhancing someone else's self-esteem is the most powerful interpersonal behavior you could ever use. I think that means my time is up. Or they were just emphasizing what I just said, which was enhancing esteem is the most powerful interpersonal behavior you can ever use. But I said, this is the proudest day of your life. You will never forget this day. If you do this for that person, they will never forget this day either. They will remember it forever. So here's an opportunity before you leave the Robert Morris, really my time's up, to give back to somebody else by simply saying something to them. You'll find it very powerful. You'll find that, as we have found in our research, the people that are very successful use this behavior all the time. Some of you do it naturally, some of you will have to learn. So, follow your passion, be inquisitive, be interested, not interesting, know what your coping mechanism is, and it's better to give than take. I believe we do those 5 things, we have a far better chance of combining happiness with success. And that is my wish for all of you, all the students of Robert Morris University. I wish you tons of success. I also wish you tons of happiness. Thanks for listening.
Wow. Thank you, Bob. That was phenomenal. And I know the insightful, inspiring words really are something our graduates would truly appreciate. I know I do, as a parent. It's very, very nice. I now ask Dr. Jamison to present the honorary degree candidate.
Mr. President, I now present for conferral of an honorary degree, Mr. Bob Rogers. Will the Hood Marshals, Dr. Daria Jacobs and Roger Gillen, please come forward? Would Mr. Gary Klaus, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, and Mr. John Michaelenko, Vice President for Student Life, please come forward to assist. Would the candidate join the Hood Marshals? Mr. President, will you confer the honorary degree, Doctor of Humane Letters, upon Bob Rogers?
Mr. Rogers, by this degree, we are pleased to recognize your many contributions to Robert Morris University and to the communities of Western Pennsylvania. I know I speak for the trustees also when I express my personal gratitude for your guidance and wisdom in matters of extreme importance to our university and our community. Congratulations, Bob.
I want to thank everybody in the administration for this truly unexpected honor. I told President Delamo at a dinner a few weeks ago, this is one of the best things ever happened in my life, to be on the board of Robert Morris University. I learned a lot. They're great people here. I made a little bit of help, and it truly was an honor to be associated. I'm still associated, and you'll still see me around. I thank you all very much, and I think that you have a great administration, you have a great faculty. I'm just proud to have my name associated with Robert Morris University. Thank you.